Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. Believe it or not, I've made plenty of videos on Sasha Banks. I've made plenty of videos on Mercedes Mone, but I have yet to dedicate a legitimate downfall video to her, just to compare and contrast where she was when she actually was good at a certain point in time, back in NXT, back in WWE, to where she is now since she's left WWE. So if you don't mind, let me indulge you on the tale of a person who was once considered on the path of being one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time, to just forced there because she was once considered to be on the path of being one of the greatest women of all time. Let's take it from the beginning. So I'm not going to go all the way back to her career where, to be fair, things were pretty much irrelevant for her. I'm not going to talk about her time outside of WWE when she was wrestling in Massachusetts and stuff like that, or in the Boston area, I guess, where she's from. I'm not even going to talk about the time when she was friends with Charlotte and Summer Rae. I actually want to take it a little bit after Summer Rae, when she turned heel for the first time, because that's my first introduction to Sasha Banks, at least the character. I've heard about her from time to time, but this was my first time legitimately seeing her, ironically turning heel in the process. I think, if I remember correctly, when I seen her, this is around the time when actually the falling out with Charlotte and Summer Rae and Sasha. This is around the time Charlotte had that match with Natty, if I'm not mistaken. She actually turned heel. I think she was beating the fuck out of Paige or Emma. Actually, I think it was Paige when she turned heel, right? Someone can correct me. I think it was Paige though, but it could have been Emma though. But yeah, she had this gimmick essentially where she called us. This is actually around the time when she first started calling herself the boss also, right? And she was going forward on this path of just trying to establish who she was, because she was very, and mind you, throughout the tenure of NXT going forward, she was really jealous of just not constantly being mentioned in the same realm as, say, Bayley, as, say, Charlotte Flair. Eventually, Becky Lynch came up to the main roster. Well, not the main roster, excuse me. She came up to the NXT roster, and she had like this cringy leprechaun gimmick, I guess, if you want to call it that. It was really weird. It was really stupid. And essentially, from what I remember, she was like, not like a leader of Becky Lynch. I think people forget this, but like, she was like in cahoots with Becky Lynch, but she was kind of like the person leading the charge, if that makes any sense. Not necessarily a leader above Becky, but leading the charge. Kind of like, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter a little bit. Kind of like that relationship, but they were heels instead, right? And, this was Sasha Banks' way of promising that Becky Lynch can make a name for herself by aligning with her to take out Charlotte and Bayley. And they had probably, in my opinion, one of the better women matches. And that was probably my first time seeing the women at that level. Yeah, Paige and Emma had their first match at the TakeOver earlier that year, but this was my first time seeing the women on that level, as far as being that good, was the Fatal 4-Way match with Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. I know people always clamor about wanting to see them have the Fatal 4-Way for real nowadays at like a WrestleMania or something. They did have the match. It was just at one of the NXT TakeOver shows, and it was good. It was fine. I liked the match a lot. And honestly, I think Sasha did. I think she won the title, but I think did she make Charlotte tap out, or did she? No, she rolled her up, right? I think she put her in the bank statement, and then she rolled her up in order to get the win. Again, anyone want to correct me out there? Go ahead. But I think she pinned Charlotte to win the NXT championship. And then, Becky Lynch and her, they had a bit of a rivalry, a bit of a falling out after they had like a mutual agreement to watch each other's back. And then they had an actual kick-ass match in itself. Well, to be fair, I think I actually kind of had my timelines out of whack now that I'm thinking about it. Because no, Charlotte and Sasha, no, they had a match first, right? They had so it wasn't the Fatal 4-Way match first. No, they didn't. Because I remember that was at the show of Kevin and Sammy, right? That's when Kevin first debuted, right? That was the R Evolution show, right? And I think that's when Kevin Owens powerbombed Sami Zayn on the apron. That's when he debuted. No, Charlotte and Sasha had a one-on-one match at first, didn't they? I think they had a one-on-one match on that show, because Charlotte beat her in that match. And then I said it right. Then they did have their match. They had a match first, Now that I'm remembering. And then they had the Fatal 4-Way match, the following takeover. Because then after that takeover right there, that's when Sasha and Becky had their match. Okay, now I got it in time loader. I was like, no, wait, I got that shit backwards. 2014 and 2015 kind of overlap for me sometimes. But yeah, eventually Sasha and Becky, they had their match. And that was another good match. I like that match a lot too. Lots of selling of the arm from what I remember in that match. And then afterwards, that's when her and Bayley started to get a little bit entangled within their own rivalry, which essentially culminated because while they were building up to that, she did have a couple of matches with Charlotte again, from what I remember. And she actually because I think this is when the stuff started to build up with her and Alexa Bliss as far as having problems backstage. They had a match on NXT also for the championship. That's when Alexa Bliss was doing a whole little Bliss sparkle Bliss. Remember that shit? I remember having a television match. That's when I was really watching NXT back then. But yeah, this is when they were building up to her and Bayley, and then obviously they had their legendary classic match at the first Brooklyn show, which is, in my opinion, just for me. See, I get a lot of hate from people. Oh, you hate Sasha Banks this, you hate Sasha Banks this. Sasha Banks and Bayley had my favorite women's match of all time. And I think objectively, most people will say that, at least in North America, that's arguably the greatest women's match in the history of professional and North American wrestling, at least, is Bayley and Sasha Banks. So, you know, for people who say, Sasha, no, I know what to hold into regard. I know not to fucking glaze her because she happens to be Sasha Banks. But, you know, they had another match. And mind you, when they had this match right here, I think Sasha was already on the main roster. That's when she was with Team Bad with Naomi and Tamina. They were doing this whole cringe fucking, I don't know, like a gang warfare 1997 style, when you had like Team Bad, and then you had the Bella Twins and one more person who I can't fucking remember. AJ Lee left already. It was Alicia Fox, right? It was like the Bellas and Alicia Fox, and then you had Team Bad, which was Sasha, Naomi, and Tamina, and then you had the other team, which was Team PMS or some shit. Some fucking lame shit. It was Paige, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. But at the same time, when they were running that angle, Sasha was still feuding with Bayley, because Bayley never left NXT. All the other girls did. They kept Bayley in NXT, and they had another great match, the Iron Man match, which was the first ever women's main event, like in a PLE setting, like, period. And I think that was the first ever women's Iron Man match, period, also in WWE history. So they were killing all kinds of historical records that night, which is also a fantastic match too in its own right. Not better than the Brooklyn match, but you know, it was getting up there. I mean, they had some really cool moments with that Izzy chick, which, by the way, got like, Izzy's almost 18 now. Just throwing it out there for anybody who feels young. Let me make you feel old real quick. But yeah, they were doing this whole little cringe triple threat fucking thing, because after the whole, you know, closing of the chapter of Bayley, Sasha legitimately focused on the main roster. And honestly, she was floundering. Like, they didn't really do much with Sasha on the main roster up until, like, what's probably, like, the first thing I can remember Sasha doing. Because, like, she did the Team Bad stuff. Then she won, I don't remember her on television, period, throughout the rest of 2015. Like, and then she came back, I think, at the, one of the February shows. Was she in the Royal Rumble? No, because they didn't do the Women's Royal Rumble back then, didn't they? No, you know what? No. She did come back to the Royal Rumble, because that's when she was that's when she attacked Charlotte, and I think Becky Lynch also. But eventually they had their triple threat match at WrestleMania that year. And, it broke all kinds of barriers. Look, guys, we're no longer going to be dealing with the Divas Championship. It's not going to be known as the Women's Championship. We get it, bro. We get it. Was it Lita, or was it... I can't remember who actually introduced the belt at WrestleMania. Was it Lita, or was it Stephanie? Someone let me know in the comment section. I can't remember. But it didn't even matter anyways, because I think Charlotte won that match, right? Or did Sasha win that match? I don't think Sasha... Did Sasha win that match? No, I think Charlotte won that match, because Becky didn't win that match for damn sure. She's going to be the person to take the fall, most likely. But as time started to go on, her and Charlotte were just like having this really intense rivalry going throughout the duration of 2016, honestly. And it was fine. They have falls count anywhere matches. I remember that match on one of the episodes of Raw when she had her like trapped in the fan stand and she's like doing the bank statement and shit. But the problem with Sasha, and you will see this as time goes on with Sasha, was that she can never hold on to the women's championship for a long time. Like, she'll win it a lot of times, but then she'll drop it almost as quick as she fucking won it. And this, because it's like Sasha was in a prominent position. I think this is actually the time when she legitimately made a name for herself. Because it wasn't just the false count anywhere stuff. It wasn't just main eventing matches and stuff like that. Because remember, she had the Hell in a Cell match with Charlotte also. That was also in the main event. Another problem with Sasha Banks, and this is what I mean when I say people put her on a pedestal, was that, and Charlotte had a problem with this also, the women, and it's still a problem to this very day, they have the tendency, and I know they are in a position where they're making history, so they want to make it count, right? They want people to look back at this historical moment as something that was special. It's not just, the term historical. They want to actually look back at this and, clamor over the women having a good match. Sasha and Charlotte were, for the most part, having very, very, very botch-filled matches. Like, really, really botch-filled matches. I know people like to put the onus on Charlotte, like she was the main one. No. Charlotte was botching also, but Sasha was right along with her. And then you kept putting Charlotte and, or Sasha in the positions where, like, for an example, I'm just going to skip a little tiny bit ahead, but I'm going to come back, though. I remember her match with Asuka, and she tried to do the whole little suicide dive, and then Asuka roundhouse kicked her in the face, but, like, she didn't get enough, length on the suicide dive, and she clipped herself on the ropes and damn near broke her neck. Stuff like that she was doing on a consistent basis, you know what I mean? And also, this is around the time too when people kept praising her for, her character work and her promo work, which I guess you can say that she was good, but that was more so because, well, at this point in time, I'm gonna assume WWE was writing material for her, considering what she's doing right now. But I think this is the time frame right here when people started to legitimately put Sasha Banks on a pedestal, right? And they also had another Iron Man match. This was like probably a full year later after the first Iron Man match with Bayley. This one right here, this actually legitimately, this main event too, right? I think this was the legitimate, because that was the first ever PLE overall, but this was the first one that main evented on the legitimate, like, main pay-per-view shows for WWE. So like I said, I get what people say when they want to put her on a pedestal because of all the things that she was doing. And even then, no, that didn't main event. I'm bullshitting, Nah, because that's when fucking Kevin and Roman and fucking Jericho and Seth had that lame-ass feud. I think Kevin and Roman actually main evented. That was Roadblock, right? No, fuck that shit. Hell no, I'm bullshitting. They didn't main event. That was Kevin and Roman. They main evented. Because I remember they had that terrible-ass, that no contest finish. But, yeah, sorry, misremembering there. Eventually, though, they did have like this fatal 4-way elimination match, which I know pisses a lot of people off because of the competitors in the match. Because, like, I think the participants, I swear WWE was trolling at this time. It was Charlotte, it was Bayley, it was Sasha, and you would think the fourth person obviously should be Becky Lynch, but I think at the time she was on SmackDown. She was like in some other multi-women match, if I remember correctly. Instead, they put Nia Jax in that spot. And I remember a lot of people being pissed off, like, just trade Becky for Nyla. Bring Becky over. It needs to be her. She's a 4-horsewoman. I remember. That was so fucking cringe. But I can see why people were pissed off, though. Like, honestly, I can see why people were pissed off. But this is around the time, too, when, like, Sasha Banks started to be a hell of a lot more outspoken backstage. And, yeah, her and Alexa had problems back in NXT, from what I recall. But I think this is when it hit its pinnacle, and everybody were talking about, like, Sasha Banks saying things like, Alexa is not really a real wrestling fan, and how Alexa, she just gets by because of her looks and all this other shit. And almost felt like she was hating a little tiny bit, to be fair. I mean, this is when Alexa had her huge push back in mid 2017. Not to mention with all the This Is Your Life stuff with Bayley, which is by far one of the worst fucking segments, one of the cringiest segments in WWE history. No exaggeration right there. I can't help but think that Sasha Banks, it's a bit of resentment because she's not in that position, and a little bit hatred because she kind of feels like she's so much better than Alexa Bliss. And, you know, you put her friends in a predicament to, you look like an embarrassment for someone who's not qualified in her eyes. Like, you know, Bayley is a very good friend of Sasha, and to see Bayley have to be in that segment with Alexa Bliss, I can't help but think Sasha felt some kind of way. It's not just you screwing me over as far as taking my spot from me when I feel I am way more prepared for the spot than what you are, but now you're screwing over my friends in the same situation. And that's why I always kind of felt like the sentiments as far as Alexa Bliss and Sasha, but I mean, it was never reciprocated. From my understanding, Alexa Bliss was always, you know, very cordial. This is very one-sided. I think Alexa Bliss kind of, you know, one can argue, you know, kind of got mean girled a little tiny bit, which is ironic because that's Alexa's actual gimmick, but backstage she was the one being bullied by Sasha Banks. But that's how the story goes. Eventually her and Bayley did have like this whole little fucking boss hug connection, because this is when they were having their on and off fucking fuck already so I could watch it in videotape on and off relationship. Eventually they did team up together, and, you know, well, to be fair, I shouldn't skip too far ahead. Or can I skip too far? Because she didn't do shit in 2018 either, for the most part. I don't remember anything that they legitimately did. I mean, yeah, they had the tag team, the whole little boss and hug connection, but they didn't really do shit. They, like, feuded with, like, fucking, what, the Riot Squad or some shit? But they didn't really do shit. Like, they never really had I don't remember them having a legitimate one-on-one match on the pay-per-view. And they were doing, like, a lot of shit. I remember they were having, like, backstage fights and shit like that. But I don't remember. I think they just did it strictly just for the fucking stupid counselor shit they had with, did they bring back Dr. Shelby for one of their segments? I feel like I remember Dr. Shelby doing like a counselor segment or some shit with them, but I could be wrong. Eventually though, you know, she did leave WWE for a little tiny bit, and then she came back not too long before the Evolution show, where she wanted a prominent spot. I think I remember her talking about wanting to have a match with Trish Stratus, and she was really campaigning for that spot, which probably didn't do, you know, any favors for Alexa Bliss, because I think Alexa Bliss also got that spot. I think it was the match with her and either Alicia or Mickey, one of those two, and they had the tag team match with Trish and Lita back in Evolution. So that probably didn't make Sasha feel any better about her stance in regards to Alexa Bliss. And, you know, she was trying her best to, you know, try to make a groove for herself, make a path for herself, because you can see that every week she's starting to do more and more and more boring, insignificant shit. And if it's not more boring, insignificant shit, she's having to put over people that she feels that she's better. Like, I know now in hindsight, you know, her having a problem with, because I know all the stuff that she was saying about Ronda Rousey, it was supposed to be like, you know, oh, they're working guys, they're working. But now in hindsight, seeing how everybody's reflecting off of it, I know she's good friends with Becky Lynch, and seeing how Becky Lynch is talking about Ronda Rousey now that Ronda Rousey's out of the business, it might have been true now I think about it, listening to the promos about her not belonging here and all that shit. And, you know, it must suck for Sasha Banks to know that she has to go in the ring with Ronda Rousey, and, you know, she lost another match. This was at the Royal Rumble, and, you know, Ronda Rousey, being a careless motherfucker, she injured her. I can't remember how she injured her, but I remember, she fucked her up in some way, and she damn near put her fucking WrestleMania thing in jeopardy, damn near, man. Sasha and Bayley, because this was around the time also, probably like a month or so later, this is when Sasha and Bayley won the inaugural tag team championship belts. And, you know, it would have sucked if you put her in the ring to help get over Ronda Rousey, but Ronda is so green and she fucking sucks and she thinks she's the shit, and you put her in the ring with someone where they damn near end her fucking, not end her career, I don't want to exaggerate that much, but at least end her chance to win this supposed tag team championship belts with her best friend that they could take into WrestleMania and defend. She damn near ruined all that shit. So I can sort of kind of see at least the resentment from Sasha Banks. You know, like, one minute I'm facing Charlotte every week, the top woman in the fucking industry, and then the next minute I'm having to put over Ronda Rousey, and yet she damn near breaks my fucking shoulder in the process. Oh yeah, it was a shoulder injury, wasn't it? It was a shoulder injury, I think. But she damn near breaks, I'm gonna say shoulder, I think it was a shoulder injury. She damn near breaks my fucking shoulder in order to fucking get her over even more, even though she fucking sucks. And, you know, for them to win the tag team championships at the Elimination Chamber, it must have been a cool moment for Sasha, must have been a cool moment for Bayley. In regards to Sasha, it's just another accolade to her having a historic run, which again, people misinterpret having historic runs for actually being good. But I remember Sasha wasn't too terrible at the time. She was still botching like crazy, but I mean, it's the women. I mean, they all botch like crazy, but they were still effective at hiding her weaknesses. You know what I mean? But later on, eventually, Sasha and Bayley, they did drop the tag team championship belts. I forgot who they dropped the belts to, though. I'm trying to think. Did they drop it to, I feel like they would have dropped it to Peyton Royce, and someone can probably tell me I'm wrong, but was it to the Iconics? I don't know. I can't remember who they dropped the belts to, but they did drop the belts. And this is around the time, too, where I heard rumors where Bayley and Sasha were throwing a temper tantrum in the locker rooms. One source actually said that legitimately they were on the floor pouting like children. I mean, it sounds like very, it is, you know, unsubstantiated, or how do you say, substantiate. Fuck the fuck. I'll get it tongue twisted. Unsubstantiated. Boom. Damn. Fuck. I read like a fourth grader. Shout out to you. But yeah, going forward though, she took like a bit of a hiatus, and you know, she was talking about how she was depressed and how she was asking Vince for her release and all this shit, and Vince wouldn't give her release. And she like took some time off for a long time. She was off for like 6 or 7 months or whatever. No, she was at WrestleMania. No, and she came back at Hell in a Cell. No, she came back at Clash of the Champions with Becky Lynch, right? So probably that was like September. Nah, probably like 4 or 5 months actually. Fucking exaggerate again. But yeah, she came back, and you know, she started to feud with Becky Lynch, and everybody was happy. Oh my god. And then like they had a match at Hell in a Cell, which was actually pretty good. That's actually a damn good match too. That's probably one of my favorite women's matches in WWE history, is their Hell in a Cell match, which is ironic because it had one of the worst matches in WWE history in the main event. So again, for those of you who say I hate Sasha Banks, no, there are some matches that I like about her. You put her on a pedestal undeservedly, and I call out the bullshit. But eventually, after all that stuff happened, you know, she was still kind of floundering a little bit, you know, trying to make moves and all this other kind of shit. But eventually we get to 2020, and then we go directly into like, let's just go directly into the shit with COVID and stuff like that during the Thunderdome shit, because that's when she legitimately became another prominent factor within WWE, which I think also boosts up her role as far as people thinking that she's way better than what she really is. But she did have a role when she was siding with Bayley, which is different this time because, you know, when she was siding with Bayley previously, Bayley kind of felt like the sidekick, but now Bayley's on her heel run, her heel Karen run, and it kind of feels like Sasha Banks is the one playing, you know, second fiddle to Bayley. And, you know, they were a pretty prominent factor on the show from what I remember. You know, they were doing stuff with Asuka and, you know, Kairi Sane, and, you know, they were I honestly can't really explain their gimmick necessarily, but they were just really fun. I think that's the best way to say it. You know, they were really fun. They were doing stuff with Asuka, Kairi, I think at the time Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, and you know, it was just fun. You know, they all had championship gold. I think Sasha had they had the tag team championship belts, and I think Sasha had like the Raw tag team championship belt, and then Bayley had the SmackDown tag team championship belt. And it was just fun. It was just really, really fun. It was one of the final times we also seen Kairi Sane. I mean, she came back eventually, but she left for a little bit after Bayley took care of her. And like, you know, Bayley and Sasha, having this fun run over the summertime, they eventually dropped, and believe it or not, they actually did some high rating segments from what I remember too. They eventually dropped the belts to Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. I actually covered that show too at Payback. They dropped the belts, and then that's when they were attempting to get the belts back again on one of the episodes of SmackDown, and then Bayley turned on Sasha and started to beat the shit out of her, which eventually they went their separate ways. And I hated this because, and I talked about this at the time, I hated the fact that they didn't give this enough build, at least from my perspective. They didn't get it enough build to have a Hell in a Cell match. They should have had a one-on-one match, and then eventually this could have built into something bigger, but because Hell in a Cell was around the corner, they just had to do this, which I thought was fucking stupid. And the match in itself, not better than Becky Lynch's match with Sasha the previous year, but a relatively decent match. I mean, they were just more focused on doing contraptions and shit like that, and I remember them botching a few times, in particular Bayley with some weapon spots, but it was nothing really to write home about, at least in comparison to what Sasha was doing previously. But eventually Sasha did win the SmackDown Women's Championship belt, and I think that was her first time winning it, because I think Michael Cole was talking about how now she's like a Grand Slam Women's Champion or whatever, which adds more to the lore of Sasha, right? Adds more to the lore of Sasha. And then she started to feud with fucking Carmella and her fucking butler with the dreadlocks, who I can't remember his name again. And eventually she had another, in my opinion, lackluster feud. And this was the point in time, personally, for me, where it started to show that people are having a revisionist history for Sasha Banks, and they're really putting her on a pedestal when she really should not deserve to be on the pedestal. This was, at least for me, the first time recognizing this. So she goes into this feud with Bianca Belair, and honestly, it came out of nowhere. Bianca literally did nothing. When I say she did nothing, she was in NXT, then she left NXT, and she did nothing the entire 2020. She comes back at Survivor Series during the build. She has a great showing for Survivor Series. She wins at the Royal Rumble. Shit just happened just like that. Just forced her directly into that spot. No story, no build throughout the entire year. Nope. She comes back on the road to Survivor Series, has a good showing at Survivor Series, wins the Royal Rumble out of nowhere. I fucking hated that build. Fucking hated everything about this build. They legitimately forced this shit on us. They forced it. They forced it. They forced it. They forced it. They just wanted a reason to say that they had two black women in the main event for fucking points with the people in the virtue signaling crowd. It was so lame. I don't even mind Sasha and Bianca having a match. I don't attest to that whatsoever. I attest to how they got to the match. They should have, and on top of that, again, the story in itself was lame as fuck. They didn't do anything special at all. The whole entire story was, are we friends or are we not friends? Well, I think we are kind of friends, but we can't be friends at WrestleMania. It was so fucking lame. And then they had their match at WrestleMania, and it wasn't bad, but people talk and they clamor about this like this is one of the best fucking women matches of all time, when it's nowhere near fucking close. Are you out of your fucking minds? They overrate the fuck out of that match. It was not bad, but it was nowhere near as good as they fucking made it sound. It was so fucking gross watching it being fucking pampered and fucking glazed over so hard when it was nowhere near close to how they... It was just gross. I hated that. And then after she dropped the belt to Bianca Belair, she was gone again. I don't remember Sasha Banks doing anything for the remainder of 2021. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Like, I think she had the triple threat match with Becky and one more person who I can't remember, but maybe actually Bianca Belair. But I don't remember anything else after that. Then she had like the whole little thing with obviously Naomi, and they had the tag team championship belts, and then eventually she left. Her and Naomi both left. Because this is around the time when Sasha, she had a little small injury with Charlotte that I remember talking about earlier on in 2022. But eventually, she did win the tag team championship belts, right? And I think she defended it. Wait, did they, no, they won it at WrestleMania, actually. And then they were supposed to have like a match or something like that where Naomi was going to take place at some six-pack challenge or some shit. And Sasha wasn't. And Sasha ended up leaving with Naomi. They put the tag team championship belts on, I think, John Laurinaitis' desk. They walked out with their suitcases, And that was the last time Sasha Banks was ever in WWE. And like they were, you know, because I think they got suspended and like they were trying to do negotiations and shit, but like Sasha just wasn't hearing it. And, you know, she left. No more with Sasha Banks. Now enters Mercedes Mone, who was doing stuff in Stardom. She was doing stuff at New Japan Pro Wrestling and shit. And she was having all these matches that people were talking about, but no one was really talking about because they were super duper infrequent. And what everybody was trying to figure out throughout 2022 and 2023 for that matter, because let's just skip there because she fucked up her leg at the time in a match against Willow Nightingale on one of the fucking, you know, foreigner shows. People were just trying to speculate whether or not she was going to come back to WWE or was she going to go to AEW. She was shown at the Wembley Stadium show in 2023. But no one was really clamoring about her matches being good. They were just clamoring over the sighting of Mercedes performing in the ring in itself. But, you know, again, this is around a time where people are like, oh, you know, she's going to come to AEW and she's going to be so good. And she got such a big head about herself. And it's like, dude, it's so undeserved. It's so undeserved. And then her fans, they started to fucking gas her up and shit. And she got way more undeserved fucking cringe-inducing fucking segments. Like when she was going to go against, I think, Kairi Sane. And she was like playing guitar. And it was just so cringe. And her whole aesthetic and her stupid-ass theme song, Money, do, money, do. It was so fucking cringe. And that was her whole thing throughout 2023, was just being cringe. That's it. People speculating on what the fuck's gonna happen with her going forward into 2024 and being cringe. Eventually, she did sign with AEW. Apparently, she signed as early as late 2023, but she showed up for the first time on the Boston show in, I think, February or March of this year. And, you know, she comes out, she tries to do this forced fucking chant, which she still can't get people to fucking do with the whole little CEO stuff. And she can't get people behind her whatsoever. And eventually, when she shows up and she does this little cringe fucking dance along with it, she cuts one of the worst promos I've ever seen when she first comes. And, you know, she starts to thank everybody. And she just wants to say that she loves her brother. And let her also say that us together, we're gonna do this together forever. BFFs forever for my brother. And she just... So essentially, for the next couple of weeks, up until Double or Nothing, she didn't do anything. She would show up, she would cut promos from time to time, CEO, do some stupid shit like that, and that was it. She eventually did have I think she had her first match with, was it with Willow Nightingale? Was that her first match, or did she have her first match with what's that girl's name again? What the fuck's that girl's name again? Julia Hart or some shit, right? No, it was with Willow Nightingale, right? Or was it? I can't remember. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. Oh, no. She had a match with fucking Sky Blue, didn't she? On one of the episodes before this or whatever. It was lame. Nothing really to talk about. I don't fucking remember it, to be perfectly honest with you. Or you know what? Maybe it was against Willow Nightingale first, and then she had the match with fucking Julia Hart. Because this is what she put her yeah, because she had to. She had the TBS Championship by that point. And, you know, one thing I would say is at the very least, they were starting to recognize how fucking annoying she was, how fucking lame she was. Because now people are really starting to notice how fucking exposed she is. Her matches are fucking garbage. She fucking sucks at promos. Her whole aesthetic is fucking trash. Everything about Sasha Banks is just pure unadulterated fucking cringe. And in the end of the day, she tries to, I don't know, position herself to be way bigger than what she is. I didn't talk about this, but one of the other cringy things she did back when she was Sasha Banks was put out this asinine fucking tweet. And even if she was joking, don't joke like that, because I don't think she was joking. I think she just put it out like it was a joke, but she actually fucking believes this. She said two things. She said that she was going to be bigger. I think she said she was bigger than John Cena, and she wanted her name to be in the same sentence as Rock and Austin. It was some really fucking cringe shit, dude. And it's like, even if you're fucking joking, like, I don't think she was joking, honestly. I think she just she proposed it as a joke, but I really think she actually fucking believes that shit. But nevertheless, though, you know, during her run in AEW as Mercedes Mone, she has had bad match after bad match after bad match. She eventually linked up with NWA's Camille, which you would thought would add another layer, because at this point now she's heel. One of the good things that AEW noticed is that she's a very unlikable person. She's very, 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 very unlikable. She's a very, very narcissistical person, or a conceited person. I don't think narcissistical is a word. Conceited, very arrogant, and very ego-driven, and it's very unwarranted. You know, Mercedes Mone is nowhere near close. And Sasha Banks wasn't really all that good in WWE either. She had moments, for sure, but she was never really that good. But, you know, I don't know if it's the ring rust. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know if that she's not wrestling more often than not. But, you know, she just sucks. She just fucking sucks as Mercedes. And people were clamoring about, oh, now that she's here, maybe you could do some stuff with her and Paige, because I didn't talk about this, but in 2017, Sasha did, you know, fuck up Paige's back even further, which is a freak accident. It's not as if it was her fault necessarily. I mean, wrestling ain't ballet, you know how the old saying goes. But this is what people were actually thinking to themselves was going to happen, was Mercedes was going to come in, she was going to do something special, wrestle some people that she's wrestled in the past, that people can now see happen, and none of that stuff happened. And to make matters even worse, we now know how much she's being paid via her contract, and it's like, it's not worth the fucking tissue that is written on, considering what she's doing in regards to ratings. She's a ratings nightmare. She fucking sucks. She doesn't do anything to the viewership number. She does nothing to the ratings. She's put into a position to try to sell a match, and she sucks at that. She sucks at her promos. She has matches, they always fall flat. You had 2 back-to-back pay-per-views, one from last night at fucking Double or Nothing, not Double or Nothing, excuse me, last night at All Out, and then 2 weeks ago at All In, 2 back-to-back worst match of the year candidates. And it's like, Sasha Banks, in my opinion, it's a double whammy. It's a double whammy. Giving too much way too soon, putting her on a pedestal on the basis of giving her too much way too soon, her thinking that she's way more special than she really is because of you putting her on a pedestal because she was given way too much way too soon. And her thinking that her shit doesn't stink because of all those things that I just said right now. It's a recipe for disaster. Because she's not good. She needs help. Her opponent, her matches are only as good as the person who stands across the ring from her. Her promos are only as good as the person who writes for her. In all honesty, she's like The Rock, but minus the charisma. People get fooled by the fact that The Rock, you know, this whole thing that you see, this image of The Rock, was all him, when in reality, he had a lot of fucking help. He just knew how to pull it off effectively because he's charismatic. All those things can be said to Mercedes, just she doesn't know how to pull it off. And she's not charismatic at all. At all. She has the aesthetic, she has the look, but damn, you can put lipstick on a pig and it ain't gonna make it no less of a fucking pig. You know the saying? It's a downfall because at one point in time, when she was Sasha Banks in WWE, it felt like she had more pride in her work. It felt like she was more known, obviously. She was a ratings draw to a lesser degree, but still a ratings draw nonetheless in 2020 during the pandemic era. She was well more known. Sasha Banks over Mercedes Mone every fucking day of the week. Main event in WrestleMania. And I think people saying to themselves, just because she's making the amount of money that she's making in AEW right now, just because she's in the position right now that she's currently in, as obviously the #1 female, even though she has the 2nd rated belt, it does take away from the fact that just because you went from an ocean to a pond and now you're the biggest fish in the pond, it doesn't mean that you didn't first exist in an ocean with other big fishes. It's absolutely a fucking downfall. It's absolutely a fucking downfall. And honestly, hopefully she gets better over time. But leave it up to her fans. Get better. She's already fucking good. Finally got this video over with. As always, my name is Devontae. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Probably I'll read it. Probably I won't. I don't really care. Get mad. Stay mad. Get glad. Get glad. Get bad. Get bad. Deuces. P. Ice.